Hello everybody, Ckixy here, and today I got a huge update to the CoD style health system. So if you remember my original version, it had quite a bit of flaws. It worked good, but it relied too heavily on redstone, which redstone has delays due to repeaters and all that, and all the mechanics. So I had an idea to make them on minecarts, and then there's also the glitch where you could stack minecarts all into one area. And so it was working out, but as you can see, I have like massive amounts of command blocks. These were all crammed into one spot, and it was basically to replace my old system, but it wasn't quite working out. So if you remember my old system, it used health to track how much damage you have taken. So for example, I put like health, and then I would have a command block tracking each piece of health that you lost. So I had one for 20, one for 19, 18, and so on and so forth, all the way down to 0. So every time you got injured, it could detect if that piece of heart was missing or was there. And that's what I was trying to recreate with the command block minecarts, and it was just a massive mess until I found out the powers of 1.7. So if you don't know, 1.7 has added the stat. Like all the stats, and it is amazing like what you can do with it. So if you see up here, I have a scoreboard damage stat.damageTaken. So what this does is if I set a scoreboard named damage and do stat.damageTaken, it will detect if you have taken damage, and then it will add 1 point per damage you have taken and put it onto that scoreboard. And then I just have everything else based off of that. So instead of having my old system, which had like 25 command block minecarts, and then this trial system that was just about working, which had, I think it was like 80 command block minecarts, and those you could push all into one area, like this, where it's only 1 by 2 or 1 by 2 by 3. So I had like 80 packed into one area, and I got it down to 6 command block minecarts. So it's extremely compact and very streamlined, and it has no latency whatsoever. It has, well, I shouldn't say whatsoever, it has 1 tick of latency, which is 1/10 of a second. So basically no latency whatsoever. So let me just go over the overview of the minecarts, and then I will do the demonstration. So first, you see I have a scoreboard of damage. The name of it is damage. So the first one is the command, the second one is the name of the scoreboard, and then the next one is what the scoreboard tracks, is what the score is. So the first scoreboard is named damage, and it tracks your damage taken. The next scoreboard is scoreboard cooldown, so the name's cooldown, and it's a dummy scoreboard. So it just tracks raw numbers. So you could give it numbers, you could take away numbers. It just holds those values without being altered by any other status or anything. This one is scoreboard health, and it tracks your player health. And I just have that for some basic commands. So the first command block minecart has damage is greater than 0, it equals set cooldown to 0. So if you're above 1 damage, so as soon as you take damage, that 0 will go to 1. As soon as it goes to 1, it will set your cooldown to 0 to make sure it starts from absolutely 0. And then if the cooldown is anywhere above 0 and you take another tick of damage, it will go back down to 0. And so instead of having like that old system that I had, the drain cell, as the timer, I now just have a command block that counts up rapidly called cooldown. And so then the next one is damage is greater than 0 equals effect 10 0. So as soon as you take damage, it clears your effect of healing. That way, if you're in the process of healing when you take damage, it will immediately delete your effect or remove it, and that way you don't heal up as you get taken damage. You'll take damage and your effect will immediately go away, and then you'll start your cooldown again. So that way it makes sure that there's no latency, because if you remember the old system, when I take damage while I was healing, I would get like 2 or 3 hearts back before it stopped healing. which was very cheap, especially if you're in PvP. And so I have fixed that to where it has basically no latency because it clears the effect immediately. Now, the third command block minecart is damage is greater than 0 equals set damage to 0. So as soon as you take damage, it will set you to 0 damage. But since this is the third minecart, it makes sure that these two minecarts run before it runs the third one. So any of the minecarts that rely on the damage effect are activated before the third one, then the third one makes sure it removes damage, because next time you get damage, it will set it back to 1. So it has to make sure it clears it to make sure that you could take damage again, and be sure that it can track it properly. Next one is health. So the fourth command block is health equals 0. I think, did I mess that up? I might have messed that up. Let me check. Yeah, it's supposed to be 20. I mistyped that. This is supposed to be 20. It's health equals 20. So if you're at full health, like say you regenerate to full health, or if you just have full health, it will set your cooldown to 0. That way it makes sure that the old system, sometimes if you take damage, it will still have the effect active. So as soon as you take damage, it will give you the effect. Then it's like, oh wait, he's below 20 health, so we have to remove that effect. This one will just set your cooldown to 0. And so if you're at full health, it will be at 0, so it cannot give you the effect. And then it has to wait until the cooldown is all the way up before it gives you the effect. Now, over here for the fifth command block is health is less than 20. So if you're below 20 health, and your cooldown is less than 30, it will add cooldown. And that's actually supposed to be less than or equal to 29, but since this is raw numbers, I did less than 30, which is 29. So as soon as it hits 29, it will stop adding cooldown because it reached the maximum number, which is 30. And the nice thing about this is the cooldown is fully customizable. You just have to edit this number and this number, and it will change it. So if you look in, let's see, that's 5. So if you look in 5, I have it cooldown is equal to 29. That's the maximum that it has to equal. So what happens is at 29, it still counts it as a possible outcome. So it says that since this is equal to 29, I could still add one more cooldown. So it adds the one more cooldown, so it equals 30. Then it's like, oh wait, I cannot add any more because this is above 29. So that's exactly, you want to make it one number below the maximum number of the cooldown that you want. So say if you don't want to heal up fast, you could always set it to like cooldown 100. And so you just set this to 99. And that way cooldown would go all the way up to 99. Or actually to 100 before it starts healing you. So that's this one. You have to be below 20 health, and your cooldown has to be below 30, or technically 29, and then it will add cooldown until it equals 30 or your desired number. And then 6, which is health is less than 20, cooldown is equal to 30, so the cooldown has to reach the maximum number, which is either 30 or whatever you want to set it at. It will do effect 10, which is healing, for 1 second with the strength of 3. For right now, the 3 has to be there. It has to be 3 or more, which is pretty fast healing, which I don't like. But I haven't edited it to where I could make it smaller yet. Because if you go below 3, since it's constantly being refreshed with the effect, it will actually start stacking the effects and replacing the old ones, and it resets the timer on it, so it cannot heal you within the time limit that it refreshes. So it just constantly says giving effect, and it just never heals you. So that's a slight bug. I need to fix that. I just have to do a few fixes for that. It'll probably add 2 or 3 minecarts, but it's not that bad. So that's about it. There's 6 minecarts, and as you can see, they all stack very nicely onto one powered rail, and you just power the rail, and that's the entire thing. If you know, these rails, I believe they refresh at a rate of 1 tick per second, or at 1 tick, so it will activate a command block minecart every single tick, which is just crazy because that's a very fast form of redstone. So let me go into survival and show you this. So if I take 3 hearts of damage, you can see my cooldown is set to 0, and then it starts adding up until it reaches 30, and then I heal up. And so as you can see, it's a very fast system. And you can see if I take damage, let my cooldown go above 20, I take damage again, it sets it to 0, which is very nice because that gets rid of like all the latency of that patch, or like how it would have to reset the drain cell and all that. And so now for the greatest part about this, if you watch my health very carefully, as soon as I take damage, you'll see it doesn't move a sliver. As you can see, it went to half a heart, or 2.5 hearts, and it stayed there, which is very nice because that means that all the latency is gone in this system, and you will not reheal as soon as you take damage, and you have to wait for your cooldown to come back. So this is very PvP friendly because it has no issues. And one of the greatest things out of all of this, if you knew my last system, it was pretty huge. I believe it was 2010 blocks worth for each system, and each system was for one single player, and that player had to be assigned a specific player number for that system to track them. This system, instead of using @player, you just do @all, and it works perfectly fine. So this system can track as many players as you want without any issues, and you just have to run this single system, which is 1 by 2 by 3 blocks, and it holds 6 command block minecarts, and you're good to go. That's all you need in your world for a PvP health system like the Call of Duty health system. One thing I do want to point out is do not use this yet, because in 1.7, or at least the snapshots, if you use a command block minecart on a server, it will actually crash it, and it will corrupt the world, and you cannot go into that world, and so it's very bad. So do not use this system on a multiplayer server yet. I have a replacement for it actually. What I have here is I have a dual pulsing timer system, I guess, and it has a 1 tick delay in between the 2 pulses, so as soon as I turn it on, they alter between each other. And what this does is this replicates the rails, because these refresh at a rate of 2 ticks. So every 2 ticks, these will flash. So with it altering, they pulse at 1 tick each, or they alter between the 2 ticks. So this one will tick, then it'll shut off for 1 tick. While this one shut off for the tick, this one will turn on for the tick. So it basically replicates the speed of the minecart command blocks, and it will run the command blocks in here. The only issue with these is ordering. For the ordering for these, it's very finicky. You can see if I start ordering these in a very specific order, like you would assume they would be, it will not be in the same exact order. It will actually be in a very random order. So let me turn these on, and you can see when I pull it, it goes 1 4 5 5 3 2. I actually retyped 5 twice, but you can see, for example, like the ordering, it is very bad. Or did I just retype it again? Whoops, I meant to put 6. But yeah, you can see the ordering is very out of place. It goes 1 4 5 6 3 2. And so what you'll do is you'll just type in those numbers, see which ones come up in the order, and then that's where you put the order of these command blocks in, and the commands could just go directly into it. So that's one thing I do want to point out, is that you have to use this system currently on 1.7. When official 1.7 comes out, it should be fixed, I'm not sure. And then also, I found out a very interesting thing with command blocks, is the way Minecraft orders entities. I have no railing. There we go. Basically, Minecraft keeps track of your entities, and when you place an entity, it says this is an entity with a value of the maximum number of entities that you have. So say if I place 100 command block minecarts, I place this command block minecart and it says 101. this is entity 101. And I place another one, this is entity 102. If I remove this and place another one down, that does not become 101, it becomes 103. And now 101 is permanently removed from the game. So, how Minecraft updates these is it actually updates it from 0 up in the entity order. So, basically, these command block minecarts are actually very easy to order in the order of updates, because if I showed you this system, you would see that it has a very specific order that these have to be updated, but they're actually being updated all within a single tick. It's just which ones have priority over the other ones before they're updated. So what I did here is I placed the entities from minecart 1 all the way up to minecart 6, and then once I placed them all, I made sure that they were in the correct order, and then I pushed them all into the single rail. It does not matter which order it falls onto the rail, it just matters on the order of the entity that you made. So you have to make sure that you place them down, make sure you keep track of the order of the entities, and then you just put the minecarts or the commands into the minecarts. So I found out that that's very useful, and also it's very bad if you don't keep track of the order, because like I mistyped a command, so I just broke the command block minecart and placed another one down, and it broke my system, and I could not figure out why it was broken, and it's just very bad. So make sure that you have the ordering correctly, and I will most likely have all these commands either in the description, or I'll have them pop up on the screen somewhere. So that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys next time.